In 2007, I found myself in a band that literally developed out of the middle of nowhere, and that band later became to be known as No Band Tonight. At that time, I had several ads out looking for guitar players to Madhouse Pro, my company. I met old-time friend Russ from Alaska out of the band Seven Strings. He had a studio he calls Studio Z, and we started holding auditions for guitar player. And then we came across an incredible guitar player, but he was only 19 years old. But he was stuck in a time bubble and just had amazing talents. And we said, "Hey, that's it, man, you're in the band." This kid was incredibly talented and played guitar just like out of hell. We were impressed right away. And we started jamming together at Russ's place, Studio Z, which is right next door to a old cemetery. Actually, graves as far back as the Civil War. So right away, we played a lot of Pink Floyd and stuff, but it became pretty obvious that we needed a singer because I just didn't have the lungs, and we needed a singer, and that's when we came across a girl named Laura. And Laura joined the band, and then the band was full, and that took us a whole new direction, actually. We began rehearsing once a week to get everything down because we already had clubs that we had already booked, and of course the bikers, a lot of the bikers had already booked us to play several events. I'll get to that a little later, but we'd already had a bunch of gigs pending, so within a few weeks, we had a list of at least 40 to 60 songs that we knew how to play very well. The one thing about playing in Studio Z was it was in the middle of a bunch of electric towers, like in a triangle thing, which oftentimes scientists say causes paranormal activity. And actually, there were a lot of things that were captured on film and on the recordings, voices and such. And here's a ball with some faces in it. A lot of unexplained phenomenon happened in those studios, and it was kind of weird being right next to a super old cemetery, and there's a lot of things that we simply can't explain. Right away it was the bikers, primarily a group called the Scorpions up in Dallas, Texas, that booked us. We were playing their clubs and playing at parties, and we did a lot of things for a lot of the biker groups up there, and I'll get to that part a little bit later, but in a lot of ways, they were the guys that really helped the band the most and promoted the band, and we played a lot of shows. I mean, a lot of shows for them. Unfortunately, we played a lot of wigs, but also, you know, when they have what they call the Fallen Brother would be some of the happiest times for them, and it was really an interesting time period. It wasn't long before we were playing for all the biker groups in that area, and in fact all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We were also playing clubs too, and on the move, and you know, it was the trip. There was another biker establishment across the street, and it was Black Sheep, and of course we were rehearsing across the street from them, and that didn't take very long until we were playing for gigs for them, and many of the motorcycle groups that we played for all over Texas, you know, just have been some of the kindest, most generous people I've ever encompassed in my life. We've done toy runs for them and all kinds of things. You're seeing some pictures here of some of the stuff that was captured on film that we can't explain during those years. Certainly this picture being the biggest. You can clearly see the faces. This was some kind of orb that was captured, photographed in one of our recording sessions. Still, it's kind of creepy, but kind of cool. There's so many things that happen. You see things fly across the room, and they weren't always friendly ghosts either. Sometimes they would do something quite scary, like break something or smash out some glass. We had a piano that would play by itself. It was an interesting time period, an interesting place to practice for sure. I'll never forget those years. I had never really believed in places being haunted or paranormal activity, really. I'd had a couple other strange things happen to me in my life, but never as much as I did in Studio Z. There were just unexplainable things that happened all the time. And sometimes a place in the middle of summertime, we'd walk in and be freezing cold. As often as they say, it's like the ghost shows. But anyway, the band was practicing and playing gigs for all the bikers everywhere and all clubs, and things were going well. And then, of course, like everything else, it was time for a change. Laura eventually left the band, and I began thinking, who can we get for a singer, when I remembered Alan Blair from Charlie's band when I was in the Vision. And we brought him in, and instantly things just caught on fire. One of the very first things we did was go into a recording studio to record 5 originals that the band had, including How's Your Day and a song called The Weary Cowboy. The name of the band became an instant hit because where you would expect to see on a sign that said "No band tonight," people not to show up, well, places were packing, and everywhere, every club that we went to, anywhere we went, it was just filling to capacity, and we were just playing non-stop. Every weekend we were booked solid, and from events to biker events to the club in Dallas, Texas, we were just hot on the move. Everywhere you saw "No band tonight," that didn't mean that there wasn't a band there. That means that we were there. It didn't take long before the band found itself at the largest clubs in Dallas, Texas, like O'Reilly's and down in Deep Ellum. At one point we discussed actually becoming a Pink Floyd tribute band, but we didn't want to do that. We played an awful lot of Pink Floyd, but there were so many tribute bands in Dallas already that we really didn't want to go that route. We didn't want to be a tribute band, we wanted to be ourselves, and that was to be No Band Tonight. One thing about the band, whether influencing the paranormal activities of the studio we practiced in or not, but we were always on a push to join the two worlds of analog and digital sound. And we were always experimenting with ways to kind of a mad scientist in a laboratory kind of thing, trying to come up with ways to do pieces like On the Run from Pink Floyd, which were actually different every time. Because we were pushing our equipment and experimenting with different things to make these things happen, which was very hard for us to reproduce, and we never knew we were going to come back in on time or not, but somehow we still did them. Our young 19-year-old guitar prodigy, Zane Fallhaber, had an incredible talent is that he could play the bow solo Jimmy Page did during Dazed and Confused, which we played every show. And when the kid did it, the audiences absolutely went nuts. Honestly, Zane Fallhaber was a star of the show. This kid, just phenomenal, especially because the age just didn't match up, but he was stuck in some type of time bubble, and he's an incredible guitar player, full of talent, and there, man, the band just launched even the better things. The gimmick of the mere name, No Band Tonight, take off. Everybody was going to any bar where they had a sign that said "No Band Tonight." Even was quoted as Howard Stern said, "There's some band in Dallas, Texas that calls themselves No Band Tonight. Go see these guys." And that perhaps was the biggest giggle we ever got. Is here we are calling ourselves No Band Tonight. and place they're packing to see no band tonight. It was a very clever media move, the talent of the band versus the fact that no band tonight, and it just took off and went absolutely wild. The band got attention everywhere it went, and we were filling places no matter what it was. And even though the most popular trend in Dallas, Texas at the time was to become a tribute band, we never became that Pink Floyd tribute band. We got to open for some great tribute bands, two of the best, Marvin Fields and Axis, who honestly, ladies and gentlemen, is Jimi Hendrix. There's no other impersonator that can outdo him, especially here in Texas. And then he led us into the path of a band called Destroyer, and those guys are the best Kiss tributes ever here in Texas, and it was an absolute honor to open for these great tribute bands out of Dallas, and here we were just being ourselves. We'd always just call ourselves No Band Tonight, and everywhere we went, the bikers just especially treated us the best, and we did so many shows for them, and you know, they're just the most generous people on the planet Earth. Truth told, it was the MCs, the motorcycle clubs, that really loved this band and supported this band and kept this band alive. And without them, we don't know really what we'd. But it was a great union of things. Musicians and bikers often are, and a lot of them are the most giving, sweetest people on the planet Earth. There's a lot of things misunderstood, and between musicians and MC groups. Have always made friendships through the years, and through the years I played for them. They've just had a heart of gold, and I never feel afraid. They've never ever given me a reason to be afraid. Anytime I've been around them, you know, people would think. In the end, bikers and musicians have the same thing: is that's the life that they chose and the life that chose them.